Welcome to A to Z with Ali and Zilla, where we take you from real-world challenges to practical solutions.
From mindset and manifestation to culture, community, and building better systems born. This isn't just talk.
Let's get into it.
What's up? What's up? We're back.
So,
A to Z. Younger and Rodzilla. We're back. Another A to Z. What happens when you put two friends together, having good conversations, and put it on YouTube? This is what you get. A to Z, talking about everything. What's up, my guy? What's good?
hey man, life is good right now, dude. Uh, I I'm glad we here having this conversation, but I'll tell you this, one thing that I did notice for me, I've been eating healthy, right? I've been
Okay,
eating
that's
healthy,
what's up.
so that's pretty good, right? Listening to you, doing them good things. But one thing I'll say this, I had a gig yesterday, security gig, came back. I was I mean, came kind of late, and I was like, yeah, let me just go ahead and get me a get me a taco or two. So I got me a taco, and my body was like, yo, this ain't what you supposed to have right now, you know. But I didn't go to one of the regular, mom and pops joints, which would have been probably better. I went to a chain. My body just wasn't ready for their mix. So yeah, I got woke up about that.
Well, that's good, man. You mentioned it. You know, I'm all about that, getting the healthy stuff in, and that's one of the topics you want to talk about staying in the moment, staying locked in to whatever's going on. We're also going to be getting into the science of light. You know what? Scientists are discovering that our cells emit light, so it's going to be a great conversation. Ready to dive into it. Yeah, man. Everything's good on my end too. We had 4th of July yesterday. Went to a little party. Nothing too major. You know, I don't party too hard these days. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, here we go.
Yeah, but because it was the 4th of July, there's been a lot of stuff going on about that. I'm going to say this in the beginning anyway, but
Yeah,
Las Vegas's show was pretty cool yesterday. They had
for sure.
more hotels than what they did last time. I guess it's because it's 250th uh, you know, year of independence. So it was a beautiful show that a lot of people was coming back telling us about. I didn't really get to see it because I was doing security, but I heard it and I could feel the thumps. So it was a beautiful thing. Um,
Right. Vegas does it big for 4th of July. I forgot about all the hotels shooting the fireworks off buildings and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty
yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's always
So
big time.
yeah, it was doing its thing. Um, but still, like you said, we're talking about staying in the moment, and there's a lot of times to where, and excuse me, there's a lot of times where we're talking and we're like, yo, remember that stuff back then? Blah, blah, blah. People get depressed, people get happy or whatever. And we're talking about stuff that happened in the past,
Yep.
or we're always planning about the future, or we're thinking about what other people are thinking about us, or we're thinking about what we could do to somebody else once we get to work or get to wherever we're going. Um, but we're not staying in the moment that we are in right then and there, especially when it comes to cell phones. People walking around taking pictures, which is cool. That's cool. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with that. What I am saying is that a lot of times we're not staying in the moment, and we don't necessarily always know how to do that. You
I
know,
mean,
and
why do you think it's important to stay in the moment?
it's important
Like,
to stay in the
what are we
moment.
losing out on? Yeah.
Say that again.
What are we losing out on when we're not in the moment? Like,
And we're losing out on connection. We're losing out on creation. We're losing out, and mainly the connection is probably more so with the people that are right next to us. There's a different way
okay,
of building. When you're building in the moment, is different than building for the future. You're in the
okay,
moment with somebody, right? You're in the moment with somebody, and say it's a romantic date, right? It's a
yeah, yeah,
romantic date, and you're like, talking about the past girlfriends, past boyfriends, or whatever, or past experiences. That is the moment that you're creating right then. You're creating a moment that is gone. You're not going to get that back, but you're bringing it to this moment. You know, whether it's trauma or even if it's joy, it's still the past and it's not that moment. Or if you're talking about, now it's different when you're talking about building a future, but that's the planned conversation. You know, hey, I love you. I want to be with you forever, blah, 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 you know, however that courting is.
Yeah, man.
But it being in that moment is that deeper connection. It's a deeper connection because you're focused on the person that you're with. You know what I mean? You're focused on the sounds of the environment that you brought that person to. You're focused on the conversation, you're remembering the stuff, the smells, the taste, the way that person feels, the way that energy that you're creating at that moment for that moment. You
Man,
know,
that's a well. I want to just stop what you're saying right here because that's just something I never thought about. Right? You talking about because we always talk about building the future, but how do you build a moment like right there? Like
yeah.
that's what you said. Like how do we build this moment with this person? They're right in front of you. How do you like make that the best experience right then and there? And you're talking about a little bit like the smells and the sounds and I mean, can you go a little bit deeper, like building a moment?
Well,
Because
the
that's interesting.
well, the building the moment right there is just the connection. It's that power of memory. It's the, like I said, you're getting smells, you're getting sounds, you're creating uh tangible memory right then. But and at the same time, that connection, especially with the kiss, you're connecting in the right now. You can focus on that kiss and create that energy even stronger than coming off of a back conversation or a forward conversation. You know, being in that moment creates something different. It does create something different. And the only way I can say that is you have to experience that. Some people think they experience it. I really do believe a lot of people feel that, oh, I've experienced that. I do that all the time. Maybe you do. There's a lot of people who don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but maybe you don't really experience what you're saying that you experience. So I'm just saying try it. And this is
Man,
one thing. Oh, go ahead.
no, because I mean, what you're saying, like, it's like almost take it, if you can, like, be in a moment, right? And just have a full sensory experience right then. Like, because most of the time, even when you're with someone and maybe you kiss them, like you said, sometimes your mind is still somewhere else. You're thinking about this and that. Is it a good kiss? You're worried about, like, are they really liking, you know, and it's kind of taking you out of the moment because you have all these thoughts going on in your head. But, like, if you were to, let's just say, kiss someone, since that's what we're going with, like, what is the sound at that moment? What is the smell? What is my heart rate like? And just really have a full sensory experience moment by moment. That's kind of what, is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because that right there, that right there, when you are focused on that moment, it just creates something way more beautiful than what the average people are creating. And that energy right there is an energy that you can take into the future. That
Mm.
energy right there is, as far as it coming becoming a memory, that you can reuse that energy because you can feel it more. Now, what you said is we're focused on other things, sometimes even when it comes to a kiss. But one of the ways to stay in the moment, now there's many different ways, but one of the ways to stay in the moment is to, when you wake up in the morning, journal what you are going to do. Get that out of the way. Plan your day. Write it down. Write it down. Okay, at this time, if you don't even have times, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to wash the clothes. I'm going to go shopping. for groceries, and then I'm going to go shopping for some clothes. I'm going to meet up with um, my wife after this. We're going to do whatever, blah, blah, blah. Plan that, write it down earlier. Now, it's something that you don't have to stick to, but you know what it does? It clears your mind from all that unnecessary thinking so you can stay in the moment. It takes a lot of practice. I'm going to say this again real quick. My father used to always say, "Hey, Ali's." I don't know why he called me Ali's, but that was
With
his
an S?
thing.
Ali's with an
Huh? Yeah,
Ali's with an
Ali
S
with an
on it?
S. Yeah,
Oh no, you got like
he was
that's
he
it.
was he was like, "Hey, Ali's, uh, always remember to never forget to always remember that practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice leads to perfection." Right? So this thing, what I'm saying right here, that's just one tool, but we have to continue to practice it and practice it perfectly. So that practicing something perfectly is to continue to, like when you drop off, everybody has a moment when they're doing something and they're like, oh man, I missed this day at the gym. Or I'm at the gym, I'm not really focused. That's part of practice. Get back into it right then and there. That's perfect practice. Let me get back into it right now. Oh, you bust your knee up, right? You bust your knee up, but you've been going to the gym every freaking day for the past 7 months. But you bust your knee up, you're in the mental state, and you're like, I'm not going today because no, go to the gym, breathe that air, you know, do some lightweight curls because your knees messed up. Sit down on the bench, do something, do another machine, uh, whatever. Stay in that perfect practice. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
And this staying in the moment is the same thing. You have to practice. It's not something that we have on practiced. The thing that we practiced was, oh, is that my phone? Oh, let me check we practice that every day perfectly. That's why we
yeah.
always looking at it. That's why it's hard to get off the phone. We practice that perfectly. You know, we could be driving in heavy traffic. Oh, is that my phone? Let me pick it up. Oh, let me look at this. Oh, somebody text me while you're in traffic. We practice that perfectly. So we can practice something that's going to better us, that's going to gain connection, that's going to gain, now I don't want to say more energy, but gain energy, you know?
It is gaining energy because what comes to mind is the process of mindfulness. You know, we expend physical energy when we do stuff and running around, you know, picking up the kids or doing yard work, and we expend physical energy. But also, if the thoughts and the mind is going a million miles per hour, you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about the future, thinking about going here, that mental energy that mental gymnastics takes a toll on your energy also. So if you could reduce that, you can get back more energy. I did want to ask you, like, I remember once, I don't do this all the time, but every now and then I'll take like a fruit, for example, and I'll just close my eyes and just chew it and just really taste it and feel
Okay.
and feel kind of where certain taste buds in the mouth taste certain kind of flavors. And if you can just close your eyes and chew really slowly and just do that, and you can do the same thing with exercise. It is a different experience because oftentimes we just eat, we just throw food down, we're in a hurry. But if you can really just taste the food and just savor it and experience that, and that's kind of what you're getting at. Are there any things that
Yeah.
you've seen in your life or that you've a way that you've used this tactic of mindfulness or being in the moment that's helped you or you know, you seen any benefit from doing it yourself? Or is it just something you're working on now that you're more aware
Okay.
of it?
No, I get I get that. That was a pretty direct question. So yeah, I have been working on it. I'm the practice of it is kind of rough. It is kind of rough
Mhm.
because
Sure.
you know, forming habits, forming habits. Like even right here, hold on for a second, since you done brought it up. Everybody has their own style of doing things. I don't know if
No
you can
doubt.
see it. Oh, you can't see it. I'm blocking.
No, yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
can see it now.
you see
It says
that?
IDX in big letters and
No,
something like that.
it
And
says
then all your
10,
writing. Oh, it's
yeah,
10x.
10x, right? And so I have this book, and for me, it's from another guy. You might know who he is, but this is what it looks like. I have a journal. I have that journal so that I can start creating the practice. And it's a daily journal, it's an activity log. And so I'm doing it. And sometimes I do forget or not forget. I put off. I have put off and say, I'm not going to do it first thing in the morning. I'm going to do it like make sure I get it done before 12. However, all of that light, all of that energy, that focus is keeping me on my mind on the future instead of the moment that I'm in. You know what I mean? And that's something that I've noticed because I'm sitting here, I'll start working out and I'm like, man, I was up 40 minutes. I could have did something. I could have wrote in a journal, you know. Now it's 9 o'clock and I'm eating. I'm like, oh, you know what? I I'm gonna go write in that journal. So my mind is still not on the moment. My mind is not on the moment because I did not get it done. You know what I mean? So I have seen where focus changes from being in the moment to either some past stuff or future stuff. Mainly for this situation is the future thinking because I did not complete that or create that habit. And it feels like it's a need to complete that, my daily declarations, what I'm going to do today. It helps stay focused. It helps keep focus on the moment that I'm in. So,
Sure. I mean,
and go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you got it. You got it. It looks like you want to finish up with that.
No, I'm cool. I'm
I was
cool
gonna
because
say, all right, if you're cool, I was gonna say another thing too to consider because you mentioned that uh practice makes perfection. Like you're never gonna get it perfect. Like some days you're gonna wake up and you just really don't have it. You have the energy, you don't have the energy. Maybe something you had to get to right away as soon as you woke up. If your goal was to write in your journal every morning as you wake up, and something happens where you're unable to do that. Another thing to note is we're talking about like keeping in the moment and also being locked in energetically. So if you get to like, oh, well, I didn't do it, or something came up and you start to feel those negative emotions, one thing you can do as well is just stay locked into over time. I'm going to continue to do this journal. It's not going to be perfect. I might miss a day here and there, but my energy is still focused on doing that so that those negative thoughts about uh, guilt about not doing it, you don't want to have those either. So if you don't get it perfect, that's okay. As long as you stay with that energy of I'm continuing to work on this thing, I'm continuing to fine tune this skill, and over time, I'm going to hit this more days than I
right.
don't, and that's okay too. You know what I mean? I think that's important to note because you can sit, especially in my work when it comes to working out, people will miss a workout and then they start feeling bad about it. This is a long term thing. So if you're trying to build this type of habit, it's a long term thing. A day or two here and there because life is life. You retire, whatever. That's all good. Just stay
Yeah.
in that mindset energetically. Stay in that pathway energetically that this is something I'm building on.
And also, if you think about it, that's a tool that the pioneers used when they were creating their new life. Explorers. Hey, this is what our plan is, and they planned out their day. They planned out their future, you know. Millionaires, billionaires, they they get their children already thinking about this. Their children, little kids. So they're like fifth grade or even younger than that. So what are you going to do with college? Right, college in fifth grade, fourth grade. I'm not thinking like most children aren't thinking about that far. They're not practicing the hard thinking, you know. And there's a science to that. There's a creation to that. Thinking about hard thinking, making the dendrites fire up. getting those web connections in the brain. So they've been doing it for a long time. A lot of middle class, poor people don't practice that, but we should. We should practice it because they taught it in school to journal. We just thought it was garbage and they didn't really explain to us the deeper meaning behind journaling, which is something that our children need to know. We need to start telling them this is important, not just for school. This is important for life because it's always going to be his story unless you write your own.
No doubt.
So,
no doubt about it.
But you was talking about the science of this. I believe you got something deep to get into with this science. So what is that? What's that about? Let's get into it. Are you ready?
Man, I wanted to get in. Yeah, I'm ready for it, bro. We're talking about light. What if light was more than just illumination, or what if it was just kind of a fundamental uh, language of life, light. I wore my little light colored shirt today to represent the light, all the light spectrum. Because so the reason why I wanted to talk about it, I came across this article on Popular Mechanics a week or so ago, and it was the title of the article was "Every Cell in Your Body Glows." That light could unlock extraordinary insights about life itself, and it was by Dr. Narosha Murugan. Probably gonna mess that name up. But Dr. Narosha, she's a biophysicist who was studying light. And the long story short, what she was reflecting on was when she was in this dark room, when she was doing her doctoral work, they made this room really dark.
Okay.
And it was to get out any other light that may be contaminating this area so that they could look at cells and see if a cancerous cell or a healthy cell would emit different types of light. And they did, of course, like the cancerous cell emitted a different type of light than the healthy cell. So then they started to hypothesize, what does that really mean? So some of the things they kind of discovered, pull up here, was that these biophotons from these cells are real. The living organisms, from bacteria and plants to animals, all have these different things, and these cells are emitting light, and that this light is linked to life itself. And as organisms die, so if a human body or a cell starts to die from cancer, whatever, this light that's being emitted starts to dim. And the scientists don't really know why, so they say, why this happens. But these photons, which is the smallest measurable unit of light, may just be a simple byproduct of metabolism or a deeper biological process. So they were then wondering, well, if the light is starting to dim as a cell ages, is this something that's linked to stress? Would aging cause a different light? Will disease, or if a cell that needs repair, like a damaged muscle cell or damaged, um, let's say ACL or something, is that emitting a different type of light as well, just like the cancer cell and the healthy cell did? And if it is making some type of different light emission, can we use this light emission then to um, detect disease earlier or detect disease in a cell? So that's kind of what they're looking at in the science. And
Okay.
what really piqued my interest about it is because, throughout the ages, from different esoteric texts like the Bible, ancient Chinese medicine, all of these different disciplines talk about light in different ways. So we've kind of known through these other texts that light is probably more powerful than just, you see a light bulb come on, but it actually could be some type of communication and can uncover some secrets of who we really are as beings here. So that's kind of
Okay.
setting the stage for what's
Hold
going on.
on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you have, I know you said it's um, kind of starting to set the stage, right,
Yeah.
for what you're getting ready to talk about. But before we get into this, what we're getting ready to talk about, is this something that you believe wholeheartedly, or is this just one of those thoughts in the wind that you felt like getting into?
What part? What part? Yes, what part do I? Is it something I believe? What part do I
Like
believe?
this whole idea of the light.
Oh man, I personally think it's beyond a belief. I think it's really how things work and how things are put together. Um, that light in and of itself is a way of information transference from generation to generation, from cell to cell, from thought to thought. And it is a fundamental way in which life really works. That is what I've come to, I would say, know versus believe.
Okay, okay. I'm ready
Yeah.
now. I'm ready to get into this.
So one thing I'll point out before um, I'm going to pull up this slide real quick. Let me know when you can see my screen here.
Okay. I can see your screen here.
So are you able to see this right here?
Yep.
So this I came across this in a book I was reading called Vibrational Medicine, which was written by um, what's his name, Dr. Herber, Dr. Gerber. I'm sorry, Dr. Gerber, MD, who was a medical doctor who got into Eastern medicine, different things like that, and he wrote a book that's now become like the textbook for vibrational medicine and healing and things like that. And
Okay.
he spoke about this Dr. Carol Saxton Burr, who was a Yale anatomist in the 1930s, who started doing experiments. So we know that DNA tells our bodies what to build a heart, build a lung, so on and so forth. Well, Dr. Saxton got curious about what told that organ to go here, what organized how the body was put together. So what he started doing was doing research on finding ways to actually study um, salamander eggs. So when he took these salamander eggs and put them under these fancy microvolt meters and things like that, what he discovered was around this salamander egg was a imprint of an entire salamander. So he could see this entire salamander body, which was kind of like a lighter form of a body, not dense like a human body, but it was in the
Okay.
shape of a salamander. So he hypothesized then that this light body, so to speak, or this field around this egg is what was imprinting information into this actual salamander egg to tell it how to organize putting together this body. Does that make
So
sense?
so for people now, like the younger people, they would call that ore.
Yeah, they call it like an aura or a biofield. Like we can see here, that's around a magnet or a human. And it was this that was imprinting onto the actual physical body. So some would say that our body has this same thing around it that imprints on it. And this technology got so deep, bro. He was able to see, as you can see on the slide, tumors that was palpable, which you could touch those tumors in a mice body. He was able to see this weeks before in this energetic field before it manifested in the physical body of these mice 10,000 times.
I know.
Also,
Go ahead,
go
man.
ahead.
I know
I
I'm
was going to
jumping
say,
a little bit forward. I know I'm
you
jumping
good?
forward, but have they figured out how to did you read anywhere to where a person can actually create a new field, a new shape inside themselves? Like say somebody's leg then got chopped off or whatever, and they're like, okay, let me go ahead and create another leg there with with this bioenergy.
They were
So
able to. So what they were able to do with some of these salamanders is, or not, maybe not a salamander. It was another animal that didn't have the ability to grow new limbs, but they put it under a certain type of energy that created a 0 point, which was basically a negative space, and they were able to grow back a negative charge, and they were able to grow back limbs. So if you think about a negative charge, you have positive and negative. Positive being masculine type of energy, whereas a 0 being negative or female type of energy. And when they put it under energetic uh, environment that brought it back to the 0 point, which you could think of 0 point being like in a womb because it's a feminine type of energy. They brought it back to that, and then it was able to reproduce this. So it's hypothesized that if you can create an environment that puts something back in a 0 point state, i.e., a womb type state where the energetic principle is negative, then you can reproduce a different energetic field or state, which then led to to an actual physical limb growing back. I don't have that on this slide because this was a presentation I did, but
Okay.
I'd have to pull that. I didn't want to go too far. I was talking with a bunch of cops and stuff like that in this one, so I just wanted to kind of set the stage for this. I didn't want to go too deep in growing back limbs and all that, so I didn't include that in this document. But in that book, they do talk about it, about being
Okay.
able to reproduce limbs.
All right.
Yeah. So that kind of set the stage one, and that's what they were kind of hypothesizing in this article is if we could measure this light, could we get to more a causative effect of seeing disease early? And Dr. Bird was able to see this, nearly 100 years ago because it showed up in the energetic field first.
That's interesting because even what I was talking about, the synapses of the brain, that does spark light. Creation does have a spark of light to it. So,
Yeah.
and then you're talking about the aura. Right now, I'm just going through a thought of how do we mentally create or manifest it, what we want, using not just this for the body, but using this as something to create something now in the physical realm.
I get
So
what you're saying.
it sounds kind of, not scientific, but science fiction-y,
It is science fiction-y, but the way to think about it, and this is why practices like meditation are important. If you think about your mind, right, as like a canvas, and you have thoughts going across the mind like clouds, and the thoughts come in and they just kind of go across. One of the things that meditation seeks to do is quiet the amount of clouds that go across. And you can see those clouds as more of a positive force or masculine energy because masculine energy is more of a penetrative force. These clouds are just penetrating the mind. These thoughts are penetrating the mind. But when you go into a meditative state, you reduce the amount of outside forces and you get the mind to what's called that zero state. Like we were talking about with the reproduction of these organs, these limbs in these animals. And meditation seeks to get you back to that 0 point. So when the 0 point comes, or when things are really quiet, new thoughts can then come in that you have more conscious control over. This is why meditation can be so powerful because it gets you back to this 0 point or this negative space or this more creative feminine state where new thoughts or new higher consciousness can come into the frame. Does that
No,
make
I was,
sense?
yeah, it does make sense. And I was thinking about some different groups that I've been in when
Yeah.
you're talking about that. I'm not going to say the groups, but I've been in different groups, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of people that use that technique
Mhm.
to uh, meditate and create different things amongst the group,
Yeah.
for that service. We already know that we've seen Skull and Bones, the government do it. They have different things on the internet where they show like the councils, the G8 summit, where they get into their little circle and they do their conversations, but they do have time to do stuff that's not seen by the regular public,
Yeah.
and I've been in some meetings similar to those, maybe not that high up, but some meetings similar to that where they do meditate. They do take
Mhm.
time to sit in their quietness, after a thought was put forth,
Yeah.
but we don't know what they do exactly at Bohemian Grove, you know, in places like that when they go out and like when people are getting ready to go do some violent stuff, they get in that mental state with their music, you know.
Yep.
So it's still firing up things so that they can be able to create a different, or not so much a different outcome, but to create the outcome that they desire, with that
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah, and meditation can take a lot of different forms, right? There's movement meditation like yoga, tai chi. Even if you get into this,
Shadow
I guess
boxing.
another, yeah, shadow boxing. People can get into it when they're drawing, when you're writing, journaling, like you mentioned earlier, can get you into this flow state. And basically, with the flow state, is shutting off the conscious mind and being so in the moment, like you mentioned earlier, with whatever that endeavor is, which can be created through movement. Slow process of things can then allow that mind to quiet, so you can create something new. And these thoughts, I mean, I know you remember you were a kid, right? You remember you watch the cartoons and they put like this light bulb around someone's head
Yeah.
to indicate an idea coming in. And that light bulb was indicating a new light or a new conscious state in the form of an idea that entered the brain and when or the mind. And when that happens, like you said, the dendrites uh, shut down, and this new energy comes in through the
You
form
know
of a
what?
thought.
Hey, I just heard this thing and you kind of touched on it. The idea is on the outside and we just receive it. It's like we think of what we want, especially if we don't have it right here, right? And or like we're like, oh my gosh, what was that? What was that? We're trying to get into that vibrational field so that we can pull that information out of the ether, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh Now some things with habit, it's instant. We can just go ahead and do this. We can, we just got it. Um, that part of creation, I think that we need to focus on that a little more. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I remember this. And when I was younger, my family is different states of financial abilities, right? Comparing my mom and my aunt, lovely people, both of them, love them all, love everybody, But I do remember that, some of my family was like, my cousins was like, you get everything you want, right? And they didn't get everything they want. And it was because of their thoughts, the energy that they had. They believed that their mom wasn't going to get it for them. They believed that nothing, like nobody was just going to get them stuff, right? But they did believe in their hearts whenever we came by, my mom came by, that they was going to get McDonald's, right? Now they were farm type people inside the city. So I was always happy to go over there because I'm like, I'm getting fresh vegetables. The heck with McDonald's. I mean, because that's what I ate. My mom didn't cook that much. So it was like, I'm ready to go get some of this food. My aunt could cook. She bust her butt. But at the same time, the different thought was for me was I didn't think my mom was going to get it. I was like, this is what I want. I'm going to get this. I didn't put a stipulation on what I was going to get, or who was going to give it to me. Because I
Okay.
had friends that was like, I mean, I didn't want their stuff. I wasn't jealous of their stuff or anything like that. But I had friends and it was like, ooh, in my head, oh, I really want that racetrack. He had a racetrack like that. And we played with it. And somehow later on the week or the month, I don't know the time span, hey, here, you can have this racetrack. My mom just bought me a new one. I got the racetrack. I didn't say, I didn't put it on my mom to get it. You know what I mean? So that energy of creating was free. That portal was free for me. I didn't have the block of, oh, my mom is poor, you know. I had that free flowing thing to where my thought of creation, it wasn't even a thought of creation. It was just something that I know. I want this. It's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think that, I mean, and that's a young kid's idea, you know, because we're not spending money. We don't think about the money. We just know what we want, and we know what can stop it, and we know who we want it to get it from. But if we keep it open, even now as an adult, we still do some things like that. Oh, I want this. Some people go, oh, I want this. I gotta wait. They already put a block on it. I gotta wait for 3 months, you know, to save up this money, or I gotta wait till next paycheck. You know, stuff like that. And it's legit. It's a legit thought because what you're creating is legit. We're creating stopping points or friction. You know,
Yeah, absolutely, man. For sure. I mean, you said, yeah, absolutely. You said a lot. And what it shows is that our body is a resistor, and the thoughts that we have can resist the energy coming in. And if we could think of the thoughts like you started with, like the thoughts coming in, we have to be able to get to that 0 point where we're open like a vessel
yep.
with no resistance to then let the higher consciousness come in. And this is also why you said as a kid, why the scriptures say a lot of times you have to be childlike, and not like you have to be immature, but childlike in that you're open for any possibility,
Right.
because you don't know where that abundance could come from. I had a conversation with my son the other day about like networking, and because there's that saying that your net worth is determined by your network. So if God or the creator or whatever you believe is going to influence your life and give you abundance, the only way to do that is through the people who are around you. So if you have concepts of, well, it's got to come from mom or it's got to come from dad, that can be the blockage, like you're just saying. So you just have to be open to accepting everyone and being childlike in that the abundance can come in any form. It can come from that person. It could come from the bird. It can come from the tree. It can come from finding it. It could come from the lottery. But having that wonder and being in the moment in life allows it to come in freely, as long as you yourself don't create the blockages in your mind. So that's why that 0 point, when it comes, if the more you can lock into that 0 point, the more you can allow things to come in freely. And that's what it's all about when it comes to this creation thing.
Yeah. Real quick though, you know, me and my dude Ant, we was driving. We was at the gas station the other day. We was fixing. He was fixing my daughter's car, changing the radiator out and getting some coolant in there. And one of the things that we noticed was there was a lady that was coming. Now we're on Sahara. You know what Sahara looks like. Everybody doesn't know, but it's a uh, 6 lane street with a big median. Sometimes in that median, there's an island or whatever, you know, a boundary, so you can't just go across it. Now we're sitting here on the right side. So when we pulled into the gas station, we pulled in the right. We didn't cross over. We pulled into the right. We're sitting there and we're looking, and this median goes for about maybe a quarter mile or an eighth of a mile, right? So it separates the cars going the other side. We look up and there's this woman right in a BMW, or excuse me, a Mercedes riding down our side. Excuse me, she was in a G wagon. She's riding down the opposite direction in in traffic, totally comfortable riding, and she pulls in. You know, there's no traffic coming at this particular point in time, but she drove far, you know, and we're doing it's like 4 o'clock on Sahara. So it's a busy time. But for some reason, her psyche, in her mind, she was like, I need to get over there. That's where I'm going. And the universe made way for her to be able to just drive comfortably this way on the wrong side of the street and get some gas. Behind her, about a minute later, because cars kept on going, a minute later, the white BMW came, and it was a dude that did the same thing. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, if I'd have did that, the police would have came over and pulled me over right off the bat. So that's the blockage. Certain people think different ways. A crackhead doesn't think I'm not going to get cracked. They think they're going to get cracked, and they figure out a way to get it without any issues to them. And the homeless people walking in the middle of the street. We're like, man, if that was me walking in the middle of the street, a car would have hit me, right? So we put a blockage on things that other people have no blocks on. Like even that smooth Rico Suave guy, he doesn't have a block on, hey, I'm gonna get this girl. He just goes get the girl. No problem. I'm gonna get this girl. And then when you actually hear some of your boys, because your boys do that too, you hear some of their lines, you're like, that shit wasn't smooth. That wasn't smooth at all. How does he do it? He just, but they get it because they don't have a block on what they're doing, and a lot of people do. So it is about getting to that 0 point and getting to that ability to say, hey, this is what I want. This is what's going to happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen because the universe is going to create the way for me because it's rigged in my favor,
No doubt. Yeah. No
so
doubt.
and that is part of light. That is light because you shine bright like a diamond. Whoever sang that song.
Yeah, no doubt, man. For sure. Let's see. Yeah,
Where we
man.
at?
So I don't know. We're talking about, I guess, creation and things like that. Yeah, so I guess in the article, I mean, the last thing I wanted to kind of hit on was um, that it, like they were saying that this light leaves um, it has an optical layer of information around us. So they're saying that this information, like you said, is all around us. It communicates with us intracellularly and extracellularly. So it's all around us. And the world spiritual traditions were kind of talking about this in different ways through different things. We heard things like uh, when God said, "You are the light," or Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." In Genesis, they were saying, "Let there be light." Uh, so different ways that we talked about it. Light with in our culture, we said we'd already talked about the light bulb around someone's head. So just different ways to talk about the same thing. And lastly, our DNA is like a fiber optic cable that's transmitting light back and forth. So that was just kind of it, man. Just kind of wanted to dive into, is this light thing really real? I think so. And I wanted to pull up one more slide.
Okay.
I'll show it real quick. Let's see, share. So this one here, I think we kind of talked about it before. This is the Big Bang, which sets
Okay.
everything in motion. Yeah. So, and one way we can check back, because you asked, what do I believe? And one thing that we can do with any of these things is kind of check back with nature and how nature works, because nature is kind of the blueprint for all truth. And with the Big Bang theory, if you can imagine, there was a bang that produced this big spark of light, and then the light over time travels slower and slower to a more condensed phase to where you get physical matter. So light in essence, is just matter that's at a very slow down pace and so slow that it becomes physical at some point. Um, so a way to think about it is like an ice cube. If you put an ice cube in water, as it heats up over time, the molecules expand. So now the bonds aren't really tight anymore. So we don't see this as a physical ice cube. It starts to look more like water. And as you speed those up even further, it turns into steam and showing the different states of matter. And our physical body does the same thing. It started out with light when whether you believe it was a creator, God, or whatever who said something and put this vibrational frequency in place. And or if it was a big bang, which if you think of something banging like an explosion is vibrating as well. And then
Yeah,
over time it slows down to the point where it becomes physical matter that's observable. But if you sped it up, eventually the molecules bonds they break and it becomes something that becomes invisible over time. So you can look at this chart, this big bang, and going from left to right or right to left. And all of that is predicated upon the speed in which the molecules are vibrating, or also how tightly knit the bonds are together.
I got a question
So
for
that,
you.
go ahead.
So with this information, it's beautiful information, it's good information. How can we use that in our everyday life?
Which part?
The having the idea of the Big Bang, or whether it's God spoke this in there when it comes to the light, and we're talking about the molecule speeding up, the transfer of, the difference between ice, gas, and water, vapors and water. How can, besides getting a nice frosty cup of ice water, uh, how do we use this, or is this something that this is a science that can only be used for that energy change or energy transfer?
Well, I mean, the way I find it to be useful personally is just kind of to think about the way in which we're created. And that can give you some confidence in that you understand then that you're eternal. You understand then that um, things are created in a way that's to your benefit, like you said earlier, that if you could get to the 0 point in thought, you can recognize that new things can come in and new things can be birthed all the time. And it also gives you a blueprint of how nature really works in terms of starting from the 0 point, quiet space, to birthing a new idea. Boom, there's the bang, this new idea goes off. And then over time, this idea that you have, as long as you stay on that frequency, can be birthed into the physical reality. And that's no different from saying someone had the idea of making the cell phone that began from them being in the quiet places of their mind. They stayed with this idea so long that it eventually became physical matter that we all use now. And that is a creation concept that we all have the ability to do because we're all creators. And if we have something that we want to dream of, whether it be a child starts from a big bang, right? Whether it be an idea to have a business, if you can go within it, stay in the moment, like you said earlier, and lock into that frequency, no matter what life throws at you, you continue to go back to it and you stay with it until your mental creation becomes a physical reality. So it's a blueprint for how life really works. And it is also a blueprint for how the soul and the spirit is within the body and how it leaves the body and goes back to the all, so to speak. So on multiple levels, we can see how this works. Even from a seed, when you plant a seed into the ground, you put that seed into the 0 point, which is the feminine energy, which is earth, which nurtures it. And then it breaks through the soil, which is the bang. It takes in the light and continues to stay on that path, reaching for the higher light over time. And then it becomes a plant that we then eat. And then we complete this process over and over. So it's really understanding how light works is really understanding how nature works. And it's a check back system that should give us confidence in who we are, how nature works, and how this thing is put together. And also, last point is when it comes to different things that go on with your body from a health standpoint, it lets us know that we can use other things besides pharmaceuticals to start to heal our body, because we know how our body interacts with frequencies and light and different technology, like infrared technology that's becoming more popular. That's showing that light has a physical, has a reaction to our physical bodies. We can use things like crystals that resonate with our physical bodies. We can use things like breath that resonates with our physical bodies to create healing and things like that. So it really is a beautiful concept to understand light and how it really works.
Also, just to um, piggyback on that, electricity. You got the TENS machines, you got the soft wave therapy,
Mhm.
which is it's a deeper, it is a deeper electro shock that goes, instead of just on the surface of the epidermis, it can go deeper throughout the muscles. And it stops at bone, but it can still stimulate uh, growth in the bone marrow, you know.
Yeah, for sure. The infrared lights and stuff like that do work on bone. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
like, I agree with you with that, with the light, and because electricity is light.
absolutely. We people make fun of talking about crystals, right? But our body makes crystals all the time. Some people get them taken out in the form of what do you call them? Like gallstones or whatever. Those are crystalline structures. And if we understand how light and resonance works, we'll understand that crystals are in cell phones because crystals are storage. They store information, and our bodies resonate with that. So we can get back. All of this science is leading us to more and more natural ways of healing ourselves, which people have used for thousands of years, but it's
Yeah.
bringing it through a scientific lens. So my goal with it was to kind of get people thinking, hey, there's more to all of these things that are considered woo-woo, and it's actual natural ways to start to work on your body in a way that doesn't have negative effects in terms of the things that you get with pharmaceuticals and all that stuff. So that's another way to think of it as well.
And I just want to piggyback again on what you were talking about crystals. Where our body is how much? 70% water,
Yep,
right? So how come when we cut ourselves, we don't bleed water? You know what I mean? Our blood
yeah,
is red and it's thick. Of course, they say, oh, it's that, but our water is not used inside our body as water. It's used as crystals. You know, it's a crystal thing that our body converts the water to, and even in our eyes are made out of crystals. So exactly what you're talking about, light. We are light beings. You
that's
know,
right, man.
so we do have to focus on what kind of liquids we put in our body. And I will say this, we also get to focus on loving everybody. We get to focus on the energy that we put out. We get to focus on uh, our moments right now. Use things, whatever things you like, use a journal so that you can focus on right now. Come back at the end of the day and write in your journal so you can get it off your chest. That's
That's right,
my
man.
that's mine. So you got any last word?
Yeah, man. I wanted to leave with I love to talk about modern science and how it relates to ancient science because it's given us more sophisticated tools to observe, the physical world. And these ancient traditions gave us symbolic language like, God is light or chi and prana and things like that. And we're just coming back on these truths. Like they say, nothing's new under the sun. All of these things are coming back around full circle, and we can use them to our benefit. So my goal with it is just to create more understanding in a way that I come to understand it, in the hopes that it helps someone see, hey man, there's a lot of things to uncover. And it's exciting stuff, man. Just to get back to the ancient wisdom. So what does it all mean? I don't really know. I'm not that smart when it comes to that, but I think there's a lot of truth in finding how esoteric or religious texts all combine and overlap with science. I think that's a beautiful thing. So that's where we're at. And that's what I get it for, man.
All right. See you next week.
All right, A to Z, we're out.
You stopped the live already?
Yeah,
All
I'll let
right.
that thing run a minute or so.
Then we're good.
Did it.
I think we did good.
Yeah, man. I think that was real smooth.
It was smooth. Now I don't know about the energy because we need to figure this out, man. We're trying. We're not trying. We're doing it. We're figuring it out. But as far as getting participants, that that's one of the things I'm going to work on this week. All right, I'm gonna work on it this week. Figuring out how to get more participants because that will bring more energy to this. Um, because I don't know if you've noticed during this last thing. Let me see. We're still on live. We're still on live.
You shouldn't be.
We are.
Okay.